Scary Short Horror Stories. The Haunted Doll Story. Horror is a feeling that makes you frozen in your place. Makes the mind stop thinking. This feeling is completely different from any feeling in life. We hear a lot about haunted places or places where horrible things happen. These places are still to this day of mysterious things, as well as stories and gossip or even legends about scary creatures that may live in mountains or seas. All of these are horror stories that are considered one of the most attractive types of stories for the listener. This story revolves around a little girl named Susan. Susan is a little girl who is only 6 years old. One day, the family of the child, Suzanne, decided to move from their house to another house that is much larger and has a garden. When Susan saw the house for the first time, she was very happy with it. The house has a garden, so you will be able to play in the garden as you like. Without her mother worrying about her, while the family was checking around the house and preparing it, Susan was wandering in the garden. She saw something that seemed to be buried in the garden. She approached this thing and noticed that it was a doll, but it was a little big. With great difficulty, Susan was able to get this doll out, and she took it to her mother to show it to her. The doll was covered in dirt, so Susan asked her mother to clean the doll. The mother agreed. Indeed, the mother removed the dust from the doll and cleaned it to the point that it looked like a new doll. Susan was very happy with this. The doll is especially since she has no siblings, and therefore this doll was her sister. When sleeping, the doll slept next to Susan, and even when she went out to the garden, she would take the doll with her. The situation remained the same until something suspicious happened. One day, the mother said to her daughter, "Susan, what do you think, my daughter, that I buy a new doll for you? This doll of yours looks old." Susan did not agree with her mother's talk and refused to give up this doll. During the mother's sleep, she had a terrible nightmare, which was that her daughter's doll was holding a knife and heading towards her, trying to kill her. The mother woke up from her sleep terrified, but she discovered that everything she saw was just a nightmare. Susan, and just watching her. One night Susan woke up from her sleep and went to the kitchen to drink a glass of water. Susan came out of the kitchen and saw something strange. Her doll was lying on the floor in front of the kitchen. She was sure that she left the doll in her room and did not bring it with her. She may have brought it with her without realizing it, as Susan was feeling a strong desire to sleep. The next morning, Susan told her mother everything that had happened with her. Here, Susan's mother felt that there was something really suspicious about this doll, so the mother decided to get rid of it quickly. The mother went to her daughter's room and took the doll in order to get rid of it, but when the mother tried to get out of the room, she was surprised by Susan standing in front of the door of the room and saying, "Leave my doll, my mother, because my doll will not leave this room." Immediately, the daughter jumped up to get the doll, so that the doll fell to the ground. The daughter attacked her mother with all force and began to bite her in the arm until blood flowed. The mother was in a lot of pain and pushed Susan away from her and ran out of the room. The mother told Susan's father everything that happened with her. In fact, the father was surprised by the mother's speech, but the mother's arm was already badly injured. The father asked his daughter to come. She came as soon as Susan saw her mother, who was injured in her arm, so she said, "What happened to you, mother? Why is your arm hurt like this?" The mother was amazed at Susan's words and said, "Don't you remember anything, Susan?" She said, "No, my mother, and all day long I was sitting in my room with my dear doll talking to each other. Here the father and mother made sure that there was something not normal about this doll and it should be disposed of. The father decided to wait until his daughter went to sleep and then sneak into her room and take the doll and throw it in a place far from the house. After midnight, the father tried to enter his daughter's room, but she was hugging the doll with all force. Then the father decided to wait until the morning. The next morning the father and mother went to Susan's room, and they did not find Susan and the doll either. They searched everywhere and did not find her. But they found something that froze the blood in their veins. The father found a phrase written in blood on the wall saying, "You will never see your daughter again," and to this day there is no impact of the little girl Susan.